nikurejeshe, anasema njoo kwangu nikurejeshe, 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 anasema njoo kwangu nikurejeshe, kibali kwenye huduma yako, amani kwenye familia yako, anasema njoo kwangu nikurejeshe, nikurejeshe, nikurejeshe. Hallelujah. Come on. Come on, somebody. Let me see you. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Come on. Come on. Oh, la, 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 la. Oh, la, 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 la. Oh, la, 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 la. Nikurejeshe, nikurejeshe, anasema njoo kwangu, nikurejeshe, nikurejeshe, oh, njoo kwangu, nikurejeshe, oh, la, 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 oh, la, 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 oh, na, oh, na, nikurejeshe, nikurejeshe.
All I'm saying is that today we'll be making some recaps. At least we look on what the market did the last week, and we will also anticipate the coming week what we will be expecting. So on the comment section, is my voice very clear? Are you seeing my screen on the other side? And somebody to confirm that my voice is very clear, please. Okay. So let's first of all start with gold. See that first of all, to at least to see what we could be expecting next week. If at least let's start with what happened. What happened the previous week? Okay. So last week we had a buy. So I'm going to start on a weekly time frame. We had a buy. We had a buy whereby first of all gold is very bullish, right? But we are having some ranging markets around this area, but you can trade these ranging markets on a lower time frame, whereby it can give you very nice setups. Okay, so first of all we have this high, right, whereby it's the all-time high on gold, and this is the low whereby which created that high. So that means we are trading between this low to this high, right? And we have an order block here. We have this order block. Okay, we have this order block whereby this order block is the one currently holding this price, pushing it higher and higher. Okay, all right. So here I got some buys, right? I got some buys last week, though before those buys we had some sells for the pullback, but we managed to catch some buys on gold, right? So this is what the analysis we did, right? So we only concentrated on the last week candle before the other week candle before last week candle, this one. So we concentrated from this candle and this bullish candle and this bearish candle, what they communicated to us, right? First of all, we can see up here this bullish candle was swept by this bearish candle, right? So that's a sweep of that area, the highs of the liquidity lying above this bullish candle, right? So if the high is being taken out, we also expect the low to be done what? To be taken out, right? And this bullish candle, we can see clearly that this bullish candle took out the low, the high of this candle. So that means we're having a reversal from that area targeting the lows, right? But looking at this candle, which the high has been taken out, also the low was taken out. So there was no liquidity around this area. The only remaining liquidity was on this old high. That's the reason why the liquidity, when was grabbed, market has to do what? To give us a reversal. Okay. Okay. So on this bullish candle, we can see clearly the high has been swept. So that liquidity has been grabbed around this area. So we are also looking to target what? The low. And we can see the low has been taken out by a body, a bearish body. So that indicates what? Liquidity has been grabbed at around this area. Okay. So this bearish candle also, we can see the low of it was swept. Okay. The low of it was swept. Okay. So if the low was swept, we also expect what? The high to be swept. Okay. So first of all, let me text somebody here. Okay, so let's continue. So if this the low was taken out, was swept like this, and and this candle closed inside the range of this candle. So this is our low, and then we are supposed to be targeting what? The high. Okay, we are supposed to be targeting that high. Okay, so we are supposed to be looking for buying opportunity because the liquidity around this low has been taken out. So we are supposed to be targeting the liquidity lying above that high, right? So that's the reason why I took a buy on this candle, targeting this high, the liquidity above that high. Okay. Okay. So sorry for the interruption. So we are looking for a buy to target this liquidity lying above that area. Okay. So this is a weekly time frame, and we have seen that we have swept a weekly candle, the low of a weekly candle. All right, we have swept it and inside what? Inside the range. So when we go to a daily time frame, we are going to communicate to see how the daily candles are communicating to us, right? Okay, so this is the daily time frame. This is the daily time frame, and we can see that this was the range where we were talking about, right? So this is the weekly candle high where we are targeting the liquidity around this area to grab this liquidity, right? And we can see the liquidity on the weekly time frame was swept. So this is the low where we had that candle of that weak candle being swept, the low, right? Okay, so after having that, what else do we have? We can see that this is the Monday candle which took out the low of Friday, right? So if the Monday candle has swept the low of Friday, where are we targeting? We are targeting the high of Friday, right? We are supposed to be targeting the high of Friday, okay? Because the low has been grabbed, the liquidity lying below this the candle low has been taken out. So we are supposed to be targeting the opposing high, the opposing side, okay? We can see the candle of Monday swept the liquidity and closed what? Inside the range, right? So if so this is a CRT. This is a CRT whereby if you go to a lower time frame, you could have been looking for the order block around this area to look for a buy, right? So first of all, before we move, I just want to mark the last week high and the low, right? So we are going to look for last week high where the market started, and so this is the low of last week. This is the low of last week, so you can mark it last week. You can mark it as last week low, and we can mark this is our last week high, right? So this is last week high, right? And we can see clearly that where we started from the monthly candle, we can mark that so that at least we can have around this is the candle for Monday, right? So this is the data we had before the last week, before the candle of last week to be printed, right? So we had a naked area around this area. I mean, we had what? Unmitigated zones here where we were targeting to look for a buy, because on weekly we can see that the low has been swept and we have closed what? Inside. And also on daily time frame, we can see that the daily candle All right, the Monday candle swept the Friday candle and closed inside. So on Tuesday we had a buy, whereby this buy on Tuesday took out what? This this buy on Tuesday took out the high of Friday, and also it took out the high of Thursday of the last week. Okay, just leave alone with this candle. Now we are doing a recap on how last week you could have gotten a buy using this data, right? Okay, so we can see that this is the Thursday candle whereby it was taken out. So the liquidity lying above this area was grabbed by what? By this candle of Tuesday, whereby this Tuesday candle took out the Thursday and the Friday, right? And on Wednesday, we can see that the Tuesday high was swept by what? The candle of Wednesday. So the Wednesday candle swept the high of Tuesday. So that means the liquidity on the high of the candle of Tuesday has been taken out. So that means the liquidity on Tuesday low, we are coming for it. Okay, so that we have liquidity lying below the low of Tuesday, right? But the candle of Monday has already taken out what? The low of Thursday. And also remember, this is a weekly low, right? So after grabbing the low, this liquidity, we can see that this candle of Wednesday taking out the liquidity lying above the Tuesday high, but closes what? Bullish, but inside the range of Tuesday. Following on, the candle of Thursday, okay, the candle of Thursday, it took out the high of Friday. I mean the high of Wednesday. Okay, it took out the high of Wednesday by a week. Okay, by a week. Okay, we swept the high of Wednesday, right? And we closed with a body. Okay, we closed with a body on the candle of Wednesday, right? The candle of Thursday closed the low of Wednesday with a body, right? So that means liquidity on the low of Wednesday has been swept, but market has closed what? Below it with a body. So that means we have a continuation of this sell, right? So this is the Thursday candle. Now on the Friday candle, this Friday candle did not manage to take out the liquidity on Thursday high or the Thursday low, right? So this is what we had. We had the liquidity around this high, okay? And we had liquidity around this low. But the Friday candle did not manage to do that, to sweep either to take out this liquidity and this liquidity, right? But this Thursday candle communicated to us, giving us that what? The direction, whereby this candle was what? An engulfing candle, which did what? Managed to break a low by a body. So this gave us what? A downtrend, right? So we had these cells from the data we have collected from the candle of Thursday, right? So remember, if we go down to a lower time frame on 4 hours, using the CRT time frame, if you find a CRT on weekly, you are supposed to be looking for an order block on 4 hours, right? So remember, we have a CRT on weekly, so we are supposed to be on 4 hours looking for a demand to do what? To buy. So this is where the weekly ended. The weekly candle ended, sweeping the low, closing inside the range, this range, right? So remember, we are looking for a buy targeting this high, the weekly high range, right? So opening of the last week now, this is where we are, right? The Monday candle. The Monday candle managed to do what? It managed to do two things. It managed to sweep the low of Thursday, and also it managed to sweep the low of Friday. So all these liquidities has been grabbed. So which liquidity are we remaining with? We are remaining with this liquidity on the Friday high, right? On the Friday high, okay, and the liquidity lying above the Thursday high, okay. All right, so again, this is what we have. We have seen that this candle of Thursday managed to do what? To take out the low of this Wednesday candle. So that means we are targeting what? A certain liquidity on this lower side. Remember, this candle of Tuesday, the high was swept, but the low was never taken out. So we are supposed to be targeting what? This liquidity around this area, this liquidity on the lower side of the candle of Tuesday. Okay, so we are supposed to be targeting this area because this is the only liquidity we have around this area and this. So that's the reason why, if you look at this Monday open, we took out the liquidity on Friday, we took out the liquidity on Thursday, we took out the liquidity on Tuesday. Okay, but remember this, we are supposed to be looking for a zone where we are supposed to be buying before the opening of when the last week candle, if the last week candle will be bearish, to mitigate that zone around any area below these liquidities, right? Below these liquidities area, so that we can have a buy, because we have seen we have liquidity on Tuesday, we have liquidity on Thursday, and we have liquidity on Friday. Okay, so around this area we are going to look for areas of liquidity so that we can have what? A buy from there. We wait until all the liquidity has been grabbed so that we can have what? A buy. So moving on to 4 hours, we can see that we have, this is the opening of Monday, this line, vertical line here, right, on that bearish candle. Okay, so on 4 hours, this is the zone, this is the zone, this is the zone we are talking about. We can see that's the only zone we have. And also remember to use the PDRA so that you can know areas where you are supposed to be engaging on your buys. So this is the low and this is the high. So on the PDRA, you are supposed to be looking for a premium and a discount area so that you can engage yourself on a safer side, right? Looking at the discount area, we have this zone around this area. Okay, this is a nice demand zone. And also on a lower time frame, let me clear this very fast. Let me clear this very fast. Very fast. Okay. Again, on the 4 hours, I can see we had a breakout structure to the downside around this area. And we have a change of character at around that area, right? So after having that, this indicated us that we are what? We are having a reversal, right? And we can see the liquidity, the inducement being created at around this area. Okay, so first of all, let me make my chart to be clean. Let me make my chart to be clean. But this is the Tuesday low. This is the Tuesday low where we are supposed to be taking out that liquidity so that we can have that a buy. If you can look at the opening of Monday, it's here. This Monday candle took out the liquidity lying around, let me remove this. So we have managed to take out the liquidity lying above below the candle of Tuesday, and the liquidity on Thursday, and the liquidity on Friday by the move of Monday. But we have an order block at the discount area, whereby we were supposed to be waiting for that order block to be mitigated so that we can have what? A buy from that area. Okay. Okay. Right. Around there. Okay. So this order block, when it was mitigated, we had a 4-hour CRT. We have a 4-hour CRT. All right. We have a 4-hour CRT. You can see the mitigation of this order block was around this area. So this is the area where we had a 4-hour CRT at around that area. Okay. We have that mitigation of that. But if you could have gone to a lower time frame, let's say 1 hour, you could have managed to refine this order block at least to a resizable order block. You can refine this to 1 hour. So let's go to 1 hour at least to refine this area. So you could have at around this area, you could have taken the last sell candle there to be your order block, and you could have placed your buy limits around that area. Okay, you could have placed your buy limits around that area, because if you can see, we have this sweep of liquidity, then the high has been taken out. That means that's a change of character. And then we have this breakout structure, and the demand was here. So market was supposed to drop to mitigate this. Then we have that continuation of buy, but market never did. But eventually the market has dropped to the demand and activated the orders for the buy, right? So on the 1 hour, but before we come to the 1 hour, let's go back to 4 hours so that at least we can understand what's being communicated around this area. Okay, so we can see that we have this candle sweeping this low, taking out the 4-hourly liquidity low, and this candle closed what? Inside the range. So we are supposed to be looking for a buy at around this, with this the third candle, right? So if we go to 15 minutes, we're going to find any order block at around that area so that we can have that buy, right? We're going to find, or we're going to look for another block at around that area so that we can have what? A buying opportunity from that area. Okay, right? I just want a precise, a clear order block. Was it on 5 minutes? I think so. Yeah, it was on 5 minutes. And this is the order block you could have taken. This is the order block you could have taken for the buying opportunity around this area, right? We can see that we said that this is a sweep, where this is the 4-hourly candle being swept, the low of a 4-hourly candle swept. So if you could have taken a buy from this 5 minutes, yeah, stop loss could be around the low of that. You could have calculated, if it's 30, your stop loss is 30 pips, then you could have placed your stop loss at 30 pips around that area. Okay, you could have calculated 30 pips stop loss, whereby it was a sniper entry. Then where could be your target? First of all, first and foremost, you should be targeting this high over there, right? But you could have taken the first take profit, this to be your first, the second take profit around that area. Then the third take profit should be, you could have been targeting these highs, but you could have gone to 1 hour, on 1 hour, so that you can know where to target. Okay, so you could have taken that buy from that area, you could have targeted these areas because we will go back to daily. We will go back to daily so that we can know areas where to target on liquidity areas, right? So this is how that's how on a lower time frame you could have gotten that sniper entry buying opportunity from this demand, right? So if we go back to daily, if we go back to daily, we said this. Look at this candle of Thursday. We said we had liquidity lying above this area, right? And remember this. This is a weekly high, right? This is a weekly high where we are supposed to be targeting. I mean this high here. Because if you can look at this, we had CRT on lower time frame, on a higher time frame. This is a weekly CRT, right? And we have gotten what? A buy from this lower side. Where are we supposed to be targeting? So this is the area we are supposed to be targeting before we reach to this area. So this high here of this bearish candle, this is our what? Our full take profit. But remember, we are bullish. We have also another liquidity lying above this area. So if you can swing these buys, you can target these areas and these areas. So we have at least some liquidity around that high and these highs of weekly highs, right? So if we go to 4 hours, at least we can know where to target, right? So you can target this high around this area or this or that on 4 hours. That's how you can catch a swing trade using those analysis. So this is how we manage to do what? To catch how many pips are these from this area to around that area, around almost to 9,000 pips. So this is how you could have managed to catch those buys since Wednesday. So that's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? Only 3 candles for the week. Okay. So any question, anybody with a question in the comment section or any other views, right? Before we look at what we anticipate for the next week on gold. Okay, as you are going to drop your comments, let's go to what we are expecting on next week now. We are going to start on weekly again. Let's have a clean chart like that. Now I will only concentrate with these liquidities remaining. Remember we said we have what? Liquidity around that area, right? We have the liquidity lying above that high, okay? Because if you can look at this high, we have liquidity being grabbed at around that area. So that's a sweep of liquidity, right? So we're having these areas to target for liquidity, right? But we can look that we can say that the liquidities on these areas has already been taken out, and we can see that the last week candle managed to take out the weekly high. Okay, like this. But we are remaining with this. But remember, we are bullish. We are bullish. But we have this candle. The last week candle managed to do what? To sweep out the high of this weekly candle. So this will be our candle low, and this will be our candle high. Okay, right. So I can see, using this data, we can clearly see that on Monday we expect a drop to do what? To have a buy. Drop to buy. That's what I can say on Monday. I'm expecting at least to have a drop and a buy, because we can see that the liquidity lying below these candles was swept. So we are supposed to be targeting these areas of liquidity, right? So let's go to daily candle and see what's being done there. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the weekly low. So this is the weekly high. So this is the previous week high. So the previous week high, and then this is the previous week. This is the previous week low, right? So if we go to daily time frame, at least we're going to understand what is inside that area. Okay, so this is the range we have, right? Whereby we can see that the last week candle managed to do what, to sweep this high right here, but it closed what inside the range of this area, right? So that's the reason why I'm expecting to have a drop to buy, and the reason I'm having that is because of this. If we can look at this is the candle of Wednesday, whereby the Wednesday candle managed to do what, to sweep the low of Tuesday, right? So that's a sweep of the low. Then we had this continuation of buying pressure, right? And the candle of Thursday managed to do what, to take out the liquidity lying above the candle of Wednesday. But if we look at the low of this candle of Thursday, I mean, the liquidity has not been taken out. And also the candle of Friday managed to do what? To take out the liquidity lying above the candle of Thursday and the candle of Tuesday, and also the weekly high, that liquidity where we were targeting, the candle of Thursday of the other week. All right. So we have taken the liquidity there and we have grabbed this liquidity. We have here some equal highs around that area, liquidity taken out. So we are only left with this liquidity and these areas, right? So in order for us to target these areas, we are supposed to be marking the PDRAs so that we can look if that areas lies within our areas of interest, right? So we have that the range of that candle. These liquidities are both on our discount area. Let's go to 4 hours. On 4 hours, we can see that what do we have? We have this sweep over here. We have that sweep, and then the high was taken out. So that for me that will be a change of character to the upside. And again, we have this order block here. Okay, we have that order block, and I have this imbalance on 4 hours. I have this imbalance on 4 hours, that FVG on 4 hours. That is a 4H FVG. Okay. And we can see that the liquidity we are targeting, it's on these areas where I have marked with some dots, right? We can have those as liquidity areas. But before that, let's look at the PDRA so that at least can tell us that this premium and discount areas. So the 50% is here, and looking at this, And also we have what? We have this, we have this rally, then we have a base, and we have a rally. So rally base rally, what do you expect? At least we expect market to come back to the base, at least to look for confirmation for buying opportunities. So on these areas, even though we have the liquidity around this area, we have our POI on this bullish candle, and I mean this bearish candle around this area, right? So this is our base. At least in case market drops to this area, you can look for a continuation of buy. But remember, this is areas where we have these liquidities from the higher time frames, all right? So you can look for confirmation around these areas. You can buy, but for me, I'll be waiting and I'll be just observing what's happening around this area, right? I'll be observing what will be happening at around this area, but I will be concentrating around this fair value gap and the extreme order block, right? Yeah. Let's go to 1 hour. On 1 hour, at least we can know, we can refine our zones. So if we refine the extreme, going to mark that bearish candle there, and if we're going to refine this, we can mark this bearish candle there, and I can see we have what? We have an internal breakout structures. We have that internal breakout structures there, right? So this will be our point of interest, and this will be the liquidity we are waiting to be taken out, right? So this is the inducement for this order block around there. Then we have that change of character. So on Monday, I'll be expecting to have some buying around this area, targeting this liquidity around this area, right? Remember, this is not a financial advice. It's just an educational what content, right? So if and remember also, we are not the market movers. We only do our speculation, and we hope for market to react for what on our positive side. So if on Monday we have a drop, I'll be looking for confirmation at around these areas or this area, or finally at this area, so that we can have that buy. So I'll be having these 3 zones to monitor, because all these zones are what? On the discount area, but we have this liquidity here from a higher time frame, right? I'll be monitoring these areas so that at least I can catch these buys around that area. From the extreme, let's say from the extreme, you can have that. Then you can target either this high, or you can target these highs around this area, because these are liquidities area where we are supposed to be targeting, right? But also you can do this. Let's go back to 4 hours. If you want to catch this this pullback, if you want to catch this pullback, okay, we can see that let's go back to daily a little bit. We can see that the Friday candle has managed to do what? The candle of Friday managed to do what? To take out this high, the weekly high, and closed what? Bearish, right? So that means if this is our range now, this is we're going to use this candle as our range, right? So we're going to mark the Friday candle as to be what? Our candle range high, right? Like our previous day high, and then this low to be our previous day low, right? Our previous day low. Where is it? Previous day low. So that means we're going to have a sell, maybe, or a buy. We don't know, but we hope at least the market to go in favor of us. So if for the time frame of CRT on the CRT time frame of 4 hour of our daily time frame is 1 hour, where we are supposed to be marking our zones for buying, either for buying or selling areas, right? So after taking out the weekly high and the daily high, this is what we had. This is what we have. On 1 hour, we can see that we have this order block around this area. After this hourly candle, the 6 p.m. Candle managed to do what? To take out the 7 p.m. candle and close the bearish. So that is what? This is our order block, okay, where we were supposed to be looking for a sell from that area after having that bearish engulfing candle, right? So on Monday, I'm anticipating, or I'm speculating that we're going to have the continuation of this sell targeting these zones, right? So this will be where we, for the continuation of that buy, then you're going to have that sell from that area. Let's take that area, stop loss around that high, then we target these areas. So you can have that setups targeting, at least you can target the 50% of that range, not a problem. But for a good risk reward ratio, you can target that area, okay? So this is what I have on gold. This is what I have on gold for the next week. I'm hoping at least if market's going to respect our analysis, we're going to eat well, okay? So this is what I have on gold. So next I'll be moving to USD JPY, right? Next I'll be going to USD JPY. I'll be moving to USD JPY. Let's use forex.com. We begin with the weekly. As always, the weekly time frame. So on the weekly time frame, we can say that USD JPY, we are bullish. We are bullish, right? We are bullish, whereby we had this high over here, done what? Taken out. So that's the last break of structure we had, and we can see that market mitigated this demand zone on the lower time frame, and that demand zone has acted as the support, holding this price, pushing it, trying to push it to higher and higher, right? So we have that break of structure, and we have this mitigation around this area, and the second mitigation. Now we are having the third mitigation, trying to push this market to go what? Higher. So generally we are trading from this low. We need to keep that in mind, from that low to this high, okay? But we can look at the internal structure here, whatever we have, right? So now let's look at the candle of last week on how it managed to do what? To close. But before that, we can see that we have this candle here inside the demand, that support, I mean, giving us a breakout structure, and we have this change of character, okay? The change of character there, and that's a change of character. So that means we are supposed to be targeting these highs to break that high to have what? A breakout structure. But before that, we go with what? With the current data we have before we reach at that high. We have this breakout structure, the downside, right? And we're having this supply zone at around that area. Okay, now let's do look at what this candle has been communicating to us, right? So we can see that we have this low, this bearish candle. The low was taken out, and we had this buy, whereby we were supposed to be targeting this high and these highs, the liquidity lying above those highs, right? And the liquidity lying above those highs there, right? So we can see that this bearish candle took out the liquidity of this high candle, and the low of that candle was supposed to be taken out. And we can see that clearly the low was taken out by that bearish candle, right? So any candle which has not been taken out around this area, we are supposed to be targeting that high. So this is the high we are supposed to be targeting, and also we have these liquidities, old highs liquidity, right? So this candle of the other week swept the low of this candle. So we have this as our range low, right? And that's the reason why after this candle sweeping out this liquidity around here and it closed inside, that's the reason why last week we had a bullish candle, right? And this buy, we were supposed to be targeting these areas. But if we can look at this area, this bearish candle, it managed to do what? Take out the liquidities of these areas. Okay. So that means on this shadow, we might experience some resistance, but we are supposed to be grabbing the liquidity around that high and this high. So that's a liquidity lying above there, and this is liquidity lying above that area, but we have some resistance at around this area, right? So moving on to daily time frame. Moving on to the daily time frame, you can have this, right? So we have this candle here. This is of a Thursday, and this is of a Friday candle, right? This is the Friday candle, whereby this candle of Tuesday, it took out this liquidity, right? This is the liquidity sweep here. This is the liquidity sweep. Okay, this is the liquidity sweep. We have after this candle of Tuesday sweeping out this weekly low, it closed what? Inside the range, and we had this buy. So if we took out the liquidity of the low, we are supposed to be grabbing the Tuesday high and all these highs around this area. You can see clearly all these highs has not been taken out. They have never been taken out before this move. We had the liquidities on the old highs, on these old highs, all of them. So this is that thing we called trend line liquidity. Okay. So we can see that the candle of Wednesday managed to sweep the liquidity of Tuesday high, but it closed bullish, but inside the range of Tuesday. And we can look at the candle of the candle of Thursday. It had what? It had a buy opportunity or a buying momentum whereby it take out all the candles of what? From this area downward. So it took out this liquidity, giving us what? A bullish engulfing candle, right? So after giving us a bullish engulfing candle, which candle was being engulfed? This candle here. So this candle which was being engulfed, it gave us what? An order block, whereby the candle of Friday mitigated that order block, right? So we are supposed to be having a buy because we have this bullish engulfing, right? We are supposed to be looking for a buy targeting what? All these liquidities around these areas. But I've told you around this area we might experience some resistance, but we are supposed to be piercing through around these highs and these highs, right? So this is the reason why I even said on my TikTok account that I'm expecting to have a buying opportunity around this area of this order block on daily time frame, right? So this is the opening of Monday. This is the opening of Monday of the previous week, whereby this previous week or the Monday candle managed to do what? To take out the liquidity of Friday and the liquidity of Tuesday, the liquidity of Thursday of the last week candle, and the liquidity lying above the Wednesday and the liquidity of Tuesday. So this is the candle of Monday, whereby this candle of Monday took out all this liquidity lying around these areas, right? So we can see that this Monday candle took out these liquidities, but we remained with what? This liquidity around that area. Actually, this liquidity was taken out by this Monday push, okay? And also we can see that after this Monday candle closed, the Tuesday candle did what? Took out the high of Monday candle, but closed what? Bullish above the high, right? So that means if it closed bullish, it has grabbed the liquidity of Monday high, right? So this candle of Tuesday took out the liquidity of Monday, right? So the candle of Wednesday, it took out the liquidity of Tuesday and closed what? And closed bearish. So that means if the high has been taken out, has been swept, we are supposed to be coming for the low. You can see this clearly that this liquidity was taken out, and this high, the low, was taken out eventually by the Thursday candle. So the Thursday candle took out that liquidity and closed what? Bullish. But if you can look at this area now. We have this area where the market communicated something to us. This candle of Thursday did not manage to close with a body on the low of Wednesday. It swept that low and closed what? Inside the range of this candle. So that means we're having a reversal from this lower side going up. That's the reason why on Friday we had what? We had a buy. The liquidity of this low has been taken out and the liquidity of this low has been taken out. So which highs are we targeting? We are supposed to be targeting the high of Thursday and the high of Wednesday. Okay, this liquidity around here. So that's the reason why this candle we had a buy. Okay, we had a buy on that area. Okay, so also on Monday, this is what I'm expecting. We can see that after this Friday candle opened, it managed to do what? To break above that area. So this is a breakout structure. Okay, this is a breakout structure. And remember this, the candle of Monday, the Monday low, even if the Monday candle managed to take out all this liquidity around these areas, right? It took out, the low was never taken out. You have to know that, right? But if you can look at this Monday candle, it's kind of an engulfing candle whereby it engulfed what? This bearish candle inside here. So I'm going to use this area here to be my order block in case this area is going to fail. So if we're going to have a drop, at least I'm going to target this order block going up. And also on this breakout structure, this bullish candle, it's an engulfing candle whereby it managed to engulf this area. Okay, we're going to have that area. But remember, this is a Friday candle. You need to mark what? The high as the previous day high, so that you can wait for the candle of Monday to do its thing. So that's the previous day low, right? At least we have some liquidity over here, the weekly high and the daily low, right? Remember, this is a weekly high of last week, and this is a daily low of last week, of Friday candle. So we having liquidity around this area and the liquidity above that area. Okay. So, and again, we have this fair value gap around this area. So we go to that 4 hours. So on 4 hours, this order block I marked here on a daily time frame. It's on 4 hours, it's an order flow, right? It's an order flow on 4 hours. But if we can find this to be this candle, this is what we're going to have. We're going to have that, and then this area, right? But before that, we can see we have this breakout structure around that area. So, and remember, this is a weekly low. So we're going to use our PDRA to mark around the 50% so that we can know areas where we're expecting to have what, a buy or a sell. From that area, that's what we have, right? From this low to that high, we can see these zones here. This zone, this FL imbalance, it's lying on a discount area, and this is lying on a discount area, right? So if market drops below this 50%, look for confirmation of buy from these two areas. Okay, and again we have this breakout structure around that area. So on this breakout structure on 4 hours, I can say we have this bearish candle. I'm going to take that bearish candle to be my point of interest around that area, and I'm going to take out to pick this low here, this bearish candles, the low of these bearish candles to be my liquidities, right? Because we can see that we have this is the daily high, and also it's a weekly high, and this is a daily low. So in case we have a sweep of this high, expect we have what? Expect we have this drop to this area, then for the continuation. But if we're going to violate this low, then we'll be looking for confirmations of buy from these areas. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think let me hope somebody is trying to understand what I'm looking for. I'm looking for areas where we have liquidity, right? Even though the market is bullish, we target the liquidity areas, right? So we have this previous day high and this previous day low. If we're going to violate this high, if we're going to sweep either the high or this, right, we're going to have this pullback, this sell to this demand zone for the continuation of this buy. So we go with the current, at least we go with the what we have. We go with what we have the ready setup, because at around this low, these zones, is going to take time for market to approach this area. So let's concentrate around this structure we have, right? So this is what we have. This is what we have. We have this sell for buy, or market can decide to do what? Look at this area. Look at this. Look at this. We have this internal breakout structure around there. Okay, and we have this order block here. We have that order block there. We have that order block there, but remember, this order block, it's on an inducement area. But market sometimes can react from an inducement area and push higher and higher, leaving you stranded. So in case market approach here, try to look for confirmation of buy, but be very, very careful at around this area because market can violate you, right? So from this area, look for a confirmation entry for the continuations of that buy. So I'll be having these two zones for watching, for keeping an eye on these areas. Okay, so on USD JPY, this is what I have. But if we drop to 1 hour, we're going to refine also those zones. But yeah, so and also remember this is an order flow. If we mark this order flow is already been mitigated by this push, so we can refine this consolidation at around that area. We can refine this consolidation here. We have a consolidation at around these areas. Okay, and on this internal breakout structure, this tiny breakout structure, we have that candle with this consolidation at around that area. So we can stop there because we don't want to refine too much. Okay, we don't want to refine too much. So on USD JPY, you can say we have this setup, but remember we have what, this liquidity around here, this liquidity on this high. And also I told you that on this is a week, remember this is a week on a daily time frame, and I told you that we might experience some resistance at around this area. So resistance, we can see that let's go back to 4 hours, at least that area, it's very, very valid. So at around that area, we can see we have that area whereby it has already been mitigated around that. No, it was from this area, not that area. It was around this area, yeah. So from this area, we can have that area, even though it's already been there mitigated. We can now, let's have a 1 hour refinement around that area. But remember, we are supposed to be taking out this high. But I told you we might experience some resistance at around that area. Then finally we can take that to continue buying higher and higher, right? So this is the shadow I'm talking about. Let me go back to daily so that at least you can understand what I'm saying. This is the shadow I'm talking about, this area. Before we come to this liquidity around this eye, we have this liquidity around this area. But remember, this is a shadow which has cleared some liquidity from these areas. So we might experience some resistance at around these areas, right? We might experience some resistance at around these areas before taking out that liquidity, right? So that's it on USD JPY. The setup is on 1 hour. So that's what I can expect on. That's what I can expect on next week. The whole of last week, I did not manage to catch any setup on USD JPY because it left me. Because I was expecting at least for it to drop, to start from this area or from this area, right? But market decided to do its thing, going up and up, but I did not manage to catch that buy. Okay, so let's go to other pairs. Let's go to Euro USD. I'm going to do for Euro USD today, then we can see if tomorrow we can catch some live sessions also for the remaining pairs. So I'll be doing the analysis of Euro USD. Looking at Euro USD, on this move we are bearish, but currently the current price action we are bullish, right? We are bullish. So On this bearish, I can say on weekly we had this breakout structure, right? We had that breakout structure to the downside, right? So that means we are trading from this low to this high over here. But let's look at the internal structures now. Okay, what do we have here? Because remember, we have this breakout structure. So we are looking for a supply on this previous data on weekly time frame, right? For the current market where it is, we can say that Euro USD it's resting at this order flow. You see that order flow? The last buy before this sell. So that's an order flow, and whereby this order flow, it has given us change of character to the downside because this was the breakout structure of that buy, and then the strong low was taken out around that area, and then we have that change of character, and we have come for this order flow, and refining that order flow, we can see that we have that supply around that area. And also at around that area, we can see that we have these internal breakout structures there to the downside, right? So if we could dive, okay, before that, we can look at these areas also. Let's look at this area before we go to the 4 hours. So around this area, I can say we have this area here. We have this breakout structure, right? We have that breakout structure around that area. And we have this order block here because we have this bullish engulfing candle, right? We have that bullish engulfing candle around that area. And if you can look at around this area on weekly time frame, everything is being mitigated. So the only thing we're remaining with is this candle over here. Okay, so looking at this candle bullish, you can see that this weekly candle, the low was broken. Okay, but the high was not taken out, but the low was broken with the body candle. So that means this is a bearish engulfing. Okay, that's a bearish engulfing. So we're going to mark the all of this candle is to be our order block for that sell. So remember, when the body is when the candle breaks the low and closes with the displacement of a body, that's a continuation of that sell. Okay, that's a continuation of sell, but I'm expecting at least this market to do what? To pull back, mitigate that, then we have a drop to this area. Because if you can look at this area, we have this order block, and again we have this imbalance on weekly time frame where we can target to have some buys from that area. So let's go to daily time frame. If we can refine this, we can refine it to this area. We can refine it to that order block there, and we can say that this is a breakout structure we have here, and we can see that we have some internal point of interest around that area. We can have this as in the internal breakout structures, internal breakout structures, and then these breakout structures around that area. Okay. In order for you to have this session every day, remember we have everyday sessions with my class, with my July students, every day. So in order for you to enjoy this, at least you can learn a lot. You can join our mentorship. Okay, you can join our mentorship on July. Okay, so this order block from weekly time frame, we can refine it to around which candle was been around this left, this candle here. Okay, around that candle, but before market reaching there, remember this is a daily time frame. But this order block here, we're saying this order block is from it's from a weekly time frame. Now let's look at the candlestick on how they communicate. They have communicated to us throughout this week. But before that, let me mark the last week high, and the previous week high and the previous week low, so that we can understand this previous week low and the previous week high. So let's go to daily time frame. Okay, so on daily time frame, this bullish candle you see here, it's also on a Friday. It's on a Friday. But before that, this candle of Thursday, look at this candle of Thursday. We have this candle of Thursday, whereby this candle of Thursday, it never took out what? Never took out that high. It created some equal highs at around that area. Okay, so we're having some pending liquidity around that areas. Okay, but look at this Friday candle. It closed what? Bullish, but inside the range of Thursday candle, whereby the Thursday candle managed to do what? To take out the Wednesday low. All right, so it gave you this reversal, or what, this CRT from this area of buying. That's the reason why the candle of Friday we had what? A buy, but did not manage to go to this liquidity lying around this area. But the opening of Monday, we had a bearish candle, whereby it took out the Friday low and it took out what? The Thursday low with a body, but it managed to sweep this low over here. All right, so it managed to sweep this low here with a sweep, but closing what? Inside the range. Okay, so all this liquidity has been taken out, so we are remaining with what? This liquidity on this on Monday candle. And remember, this Monday candle high is the previous week high. Okay, the previous week high. Now the Tuesday candle, what did the Tuesday candle did? The Tuesday candle, even though we had this sweep, we had these areas where the market break with a body for the continuation of these sales, right? Whereby this Monday candle acted as a bearish engulfing candle, whereby it engulfed what? The candle of Friday. Do you see that? The candle of Friday. It engulfed the candle of Friday, right? So the candle of Friday acted as an order block for the candle of Tuesday, whereby the Tuesday mitigated that Friday candle, right? It mitigated the Friday candle, and we had this sell, whereby this sell took out the low of what? It took out the low of Monday, but closed what? Inside the range. But remember, where are we reacting from? This is what you need to keep in mind. We are reacting from a weekly order flow, right? So this is what you need to keep in mind. So we are bearish. We are supposed to be looking for bearish sell, all right? We have reacted from that area. And then this candle of Tuesday has swept the low of Monday. So the candle of Wednesday, we had what? We had a buy, but this buy did not manage even to touch the high of what? Not manage to touch the high of Tuesday. So what do we have here? Even though this candle mitigated this order block, we're having some pending liquidity around that areas. All right. Now let's look at this candle of Wednesday. The candle of Wednesday, we have this high, whereby the high was taken out. but the candle did what? Closed what? It swept and closed what? Inside the range, whereby, and also the low was taken out. And also this candle of Thursday took out the low of Tuesday, right? So that indicates what? That indicates that we are having a resistance at around this area, around that area. Reason why? We can see that this candle, none of this from the starting of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, none of these candles managed to do what? To break the low of Monday with a body, right? None of these candles managed to break the low with a body. Okay, so we're having this low being swept around that area, reversing there. So what are the areas of liquidity we have? Remember, this candle has swept this liquidity, so we have some pending liquidity around that high, and also liquidity lying around that high, and liquidity lying around that high, right? Because you can see the candle of Friday, this candle of Friday did not manage even to go past what? The candle of Thursday. Okay, neither the high nor the low. Okay, so what should we do? What should we do? So we have that. So here we're going to mark the Thursday high, because this candle here, it's inside the Thursday high and the Thursday low. So this is the previous day high and this is the previous day low. But in order for us to catch the candle of Monday, we need to mark the Friday high, whereby we have seen, we know, or what we know is that the Friday high has liquidity and the Friday low has liquidity, because it not managed to go anywhere, right? So we have that previous day high, then we have the previous day low. Okay, we have the previous day low. Okay, okay, so this is what we have on a daily time frame, right? So it's either, if the Monday candle gave us this, sweeps the previous week low by taking out the previous day low, then we will mitigate again this this support area. Then we target this previous day high, and then previous day, this liquidity pools around this area, this liquidity build-ups around these areas, right? And this previous week high, right? Because if you can look at this, this is the low, the previous week low. So if the Monday or candle open sweeps this area here, then we'll be targeting around these areas. But before that, for what I can see is that we might experience, because we are bearish, we might experience a resistance at around this week, around this shadow, around there. We might experience a resistance at around that area, going downward, or the market can do what? Can come back also to test this order block there. Okay, so now let's go to 4 hours. I remember I had a sell setup on Euro USD, but I was kicked out. I was kicked out as early as possible. Okay, so this is the order block on daily time frame. This is the order block, but we can, if you can refine that. But remember, the order block now on 4 hours is what? An order flow, right? So if you want to refine it to a demand zone, you can refine to that last bearish candle there with that imbalance, and you can see the kind of engulfing we having this area, right? But you will be starting looking for confirmation entry from that order flow. When market approaches there, start looking for confirmation entries around that area. And also remember, we said we had these zones here, right? So these are the zones you need to keep and watching them. And also we have this breakout structure there, but these are areas of liquidity for these demand zones or that order flow. Okay, but remember we have what? This rally, base, rally. So you can keep an eye on this base also. Okay, so we can take that base around there, but if the base is this, then we're going to mark that as the base. Then you expect market to drop there and continue to do what? To go higher. Okay, so these are the traps we can set for that buy. But let's look at the current whatever we have, right? What do we have here? We had this breakout structure around this area whereby we mitigated that supply, and we have another breakout structure here whereby we mitigated the daily order block, but if you can refine that to 4 hours, you can have that supply, right? And we had these points of interest where market after having these areas here, remember we have these areas of breakout structures here. We have these breakout structures. Okay, we're having these breakout structures. Let me remove this. We're having these breakout structures whereby this shadow was mitigated at around this level, whereby this shadow, after mitigating this area, this is the push weight came for this demand. I mean this supply zone around that area, right? And this supply zone, remember we have this breakout of structure around this area, but we were supposed to be having a buy targeting this high for the continuation, because this is a breakout structure. All this liquidity has been taken out, mitigation of this shadow, and we are supposed to be going higher, taking out all these highs. But market did what? Mitigated this supply zone for this breakout structure, and we had this drop. By having this drop, we can see we have this sweep of this area, right, around this low. So we have this sweep of that low. Okay, so after having this sweep of this low, we can see this market giving us what? Some reactions for the buy, whereby these buys came later to mitigate this order block around there. Then we had this sell, right? So this sell did not manage or to break these lows with what? With a body. That's a sweep. Up to now, we have no any breakout structure for this for engagement of these cells, but on 4 hours. Remember, this is on 4 hours, right? So the only place we have this breakout structure, and we have this strong high on a previous week what? High, and we have this breakout structure, and we have this strong low, whereby this strong low, all these are just sweeps. If you can look, these are just sweeps, right? We don't have any body breaking below these areas, right? Okay, so last week I had a sell. I had a sell for this, and the reason why I had these cells is because of this what was that? Let's look at this. The reason why I had a sell is because, was it on Friday or was it on Friday? I think it was on Friday, yeah. Because this candle managed to take out the high of what? Of Wednesday. Even though it took out the low, but I had what? I had to follow the trend. I was looking for a selling opportunity. All right. But this is what happened. Let's go to 1 hour. Now on 1 hour, if you look at these areas on 1 hour, let's refine this. On 1 hour now you can have a clear structure. On 1 hour, this is where you're going to have a clear structure because you're going to refine this to this, and then this to this area here. Then we have this break of structure, and we have this, right? So what happened to me, I was looking for a sell on Friday. So this is the high of Friday and this is the low of Friday, right? I was selling from this area, but I was kicked out. Market took me out, right? It gave me a reaction. It gave me some reactions here, but around 4, it took me out. I was just targeting these lows around that areas. 1:4 risk reward ratio. So I was kicked out like that. Whereby this the area where which kicked me out, it reacted from this shadow here, right? So I was kicked out by that push. Okay, let's remove this. So what structure do we have? We are having a bearish, right? We are having a bearish, whereby on 1 hour, we can call this breakout structure. So we can see that what do we have? We have this point of interest as this supply zone. We have that supply zone. I mean, that's a supply zone also support, supply zone, and we have this imbalance lying around that area, right? So we have that 1 hour FVG. So in case market pulls back to that area, then I'm going to look for selling opportunities around that area. Because if you can look at this, the Friday high, it's what? It's below this imbalance, and it's below, it's above what? The supply, it's above what? The previous day high. Okay. If we're going to have a drop, then I'm going to wait until market mitigates these areas so that I can have that sell. Okay, so that's what I can have on Euro USD, having a sell to buy, because I told you these are areas on 4 hours where we are looking for buying areas now. Okay, so now you can align this on 4 hours so that at least you can have these looks around this area. So this is what I have on 4 hours on Euro USD. Okay, so on Euro USD you can have this. You can have this whereby I'll be expecting to have that sell to buy opportunities from that area. Okay, from these areas. Okay, so I think which pair can we do? The last pair, or what is the time? Yeah, let's do one pair. Let's go to GJ. Let's go to GJ. I think I had some buys on GJ. I had some buys on GJ, and I'll explain those buys on how we managed to catch those buys. So on GJ we are bullish. Okay, because we can see this is the breakout structure. We are the current breakout structure to the upside, right? So that means we are trading from this low over here and this high. Okay, whereby after this breakout structure we can see that market came to mitigate the extreme demand, and this extreme demand is the currently one holding what? This price going targeting this high. All right. Right. So after this mitigation, we have this pullback, then continuation, so that we can call this as what, a break of structure or a change of character, the upside, and whereby we having this bullish engulfing, leaving us this order block around that area, which the order block is what is the one currently holding these prices, right? And also, what can we see? You can see we have some sort of resistance at around that area, whereby we have this first touch, second touch, and the third touch, the current where we are. All right. So having that, let's look at what the weekly candle has been giving us. Remember, we are on a resistance area around this area, right? So the weekly candle, what has given us? We have this high being broken, being taken out with the body, right? We have this being taken out with the body like that. That's a break of structure to the upside, whereby we have this liquidity high being taken out because we can see the liquidity of that low candle, the low of that candle was taken out. So we are supposed to be targeting the high. That's what the last week did. What happened, right? So here you can mark what the previous week high, then you can mark the previous week low. Okay, so we are supposed to be looking for a buy because you can see this weekly candle managed to do what, to break above this high, right, with a body, right? So if we go to daily time frame, and we can look on daily time frame what we have. Okay, before we go up to that area, at least let's gather some data from the previous areas where we can see that we had this breakout structure whereby the market mitigated what? Market mitigated this imbalance around that area and pushed the market higher. We have this bullish engulfing giving us this order block, and this order block we can see it has already been mitigated, right? And we can see that this candle of Monday took out the low of Friday. It swept the low of Friday, so it grabbed the liquidity of Friday and closed above what? The Friday high and the Thursday high. So this Monday candle acted as what? It's a bullish engulfing, engulfed what? The Friday candle. So we can have that as our order block. So let's call that order block there. So we can have that order block. Okay. So we have the Monday, which swept the Friday, but took out the Friday high and the Thursday high with a body. And also we have what? This imbalance around that area. So we have that FVG, and we have this breakout structure. Okay, we have that breakout structure there. Now let's look at this candle of Tuesday. The Tuesday candle broke above with on a Monday with a body. Okay, so that means if it broke above with a body, the low has liquidity. So the low, we come for the low. And the reason why we came for this low is because if you can look at the candle of Wednesday, it swept the liquidity lying above the candle of Tuesday, right? But it closed inside the range of the Tuesday candle, right? So we have that as a sweep there. Then the candle of okay, even if the candle this candle of Wednesday took out the high, swept the high of Tuesday, it did not manage to reach what? The Tuesday low. So the candle of Thursday, it took out the candle of, it swept the low of Tuesday, right? the low of Tuesday. So if the low was Tuesday was swept, right? So that means this candle of Thursday, the high of it has liquidity, right? The high has liquidity, and you can see clearly what happened on Friday. We took out that high, okay? But remember, we're having this point of interest around that area, okay? Whereby market took out what? After taking out the Thursday high, it also came and took out what? The Thursday low, and closed inside the range of what? The Thursday, but it closed what? Bullish, okay? And we have this order block, okay, with this imbalance, which is the imbalance has already been mitigated, all right? So what do we do here? We mark what? We mark the previous day high, then we mark the previous day low. Okay, then we move to 4 hours. We move to 4 hours. So the reason why I had a buy on this pair is because I had this internal, we can say this is an internal change of character or a break of structure, and I refined. Do you see this candle? This candle which swept all these candles here. I refined this shadow on a lower time frame, and I had a demand zone on that area, whereby I took that buy from the lower time frame, because when market mitigated my supply, my imbalance, that's when I looked for confirmation of buying, and I had this buy, right? So if we can refine this order block on 4 hours, I can take this black candle there to be my, now that will be my demand zone on 4 hours, because I can see we have what? We have broken this high, that's a break of structure. But remember, from this low to this high of the break of structure, this is an order flow, right? But on a daily time frame, it's an order block, okay? So you will be looking for confirmation around these areas, right? But remember to mark what? The 50% of that area. So this is the previous weekly high, and this is the previous weekly low. So you need at least to mark the 50% of that range. And you can see we are reacting from the 50% of that range. So we might have this continuation of this buy, but we have also another imbalance here. At least look at this. We have this big imbalance. We have this imbalance from that area, this area. At least if we're going to drop, at least wait until at least we cover some this imbalance. Yeah, this is obvious. YouTube is going to post it. It's being recorded, so you will come back to it anytime you feel like. Okay, so at least remember we have this imbalance, and we have this demand zone at around here, and we have this break of structure. So for me, I'll be waiting at least to around this area, but I managed to catch these buys, but I'm not holding these buys. I'm not holding these buys up to now. I'm out if because I'm looking for, these are the zones I'm looking for. So if we go to on 4 hours, what do we have first of all? So on 4 hours, we had this internal change of character, and we can see that on 4 hours we have this candle, this bearish candle sweeping out this high, right? So if this high is being swept, expect the low also to be taken out. So we will be targeting the low, right? So if we go to 1 hour, So if we go to 1 hour, on that 1 hour, what else can you see? Remember, we have this order block here. I mean this demand zone. And again, we have this candle here on, all right, this hidden candle here inside our imbalance. All right, so you can target that area, you can look for buying around that areas and this area, but remember we have also these areas, but this will be a pending area, right? So concentrate on these areas if you're looking for a sell opportunity and a buying opportunity, right? And what else can we see on 1 hour? On 1 hour, we can see that we have this breakout structure. We had that breakout structure whereby the low was taken out, the strong low, we had a change of character, and we had this as inducement area, okay, whereby this market came for what? It came for this area to do what? To have that buy from this area, I mean from that shadow, that area for the sell, right? So those buys which I was getting, they came from this area, and that's how I managed to catch these buys from this. I remember from that area I was just targeting these highs around that area, and that's how I managed to catch a 1:7, giving me around 100 pips there. Okay, so the zone you could have seen it on that zone you could have seen it on 15 minutes or 5 minutes for the confirmation entry around that area, but the confirmation entry, I took that confirmation entry on 5 minutes, whereby I had this breakout structure and I had this change of character and I had this order block there, which gave me this buy. And after giving me that buy, that confirmation entry, we also took that high, whereby it came for this demand there. You could have added some positions there, and you could have been targeting what? You target that high, and that's how you had that area. This the area, yeah, that area. Stop loss below that zones. Then you could have targeted that area 1:7 there. That's how you could have hit that TP. So this was just a recap on what on how I got those buys, but the main structure we have, it's from coming from now 4 hours, on 4 hours now, on 4 hours, or let's see, yeah, on 1 hour. Remember, we are targeting this, so if you want to catch this these cells, at least wait until if the market will decide to pull around this area, you can catch that cells from that area, stop loss around those highs, then you can target these areas for the buy. But remember, from these areas you are supposed to be looking for buying opportunities, right? You're supposed to be looking for buying opportunities going up because you follow the trend. So this will be a risk, because remember we are reacting from a discount area, the 50% there, right? This is an equilibrium area where we are reacting from. So at this area, market can decide to go higher and higher, but if you have confirmation entry for the sell around this area, you can have that sell to these zones look for confirmation entry for the buy, and you can have that buy. Okay, remember this: if no confirmation entries, no trade, no trade. Okay, thank you guys. I think I'll stop there, and I will make at least let's see if tomorrow, if I'll have time, we can come live again. Okay, so for those people, thank you for those people who managed to attend this live, and I wish you all the best for your trading journey as you try to shape up and also trying to learn 1, 2, 3 so that you can improve on your trading skill. I just wish you a nice weekend and a nice peaceful, a very beautiful peaceful next week. Thank you, and let's have a beautiful night. Good night, guys. Thank you.
Just